Do you know what the issue is with trying to fix 5e Dungeons and Dragons? Well, it comes down to their player base. There's a small minority that are open-minded. But over 90% of players, in my experience, from in-person to talking to them online, over 90% of players seem to be opposed to host rules. Like the Bro OSR. They pitch raw. They push rules as written. Well, if they were looking for allies, they would find it in the majority of 5e players. Oh hey, you fixed 5e. Now it's time to go recruit. But guess what? The people that are having a harder time recruiting for the old school D&D games, well, they're out recruiting you. Why? Because over 90% of the players will look at your so-called fixed 5e and they'll walk away. They won't join your game. So you know how they tell you, if you go pitch a 5e game, you'll fill it up in no time. Well, that's only if you're really pitching it raw. And what about going back to the core? Just, stick to the core books. No, they don't want that. Most 5e players want all that extended stuff. They want a bunch of it. And if you're not offering it, they're gone. To really know this, you have to be out there in the hobby. Like meeting with all kinds of different players, different dungeon masters of all these 5e games that are going on. And they tell you, they tell you that most players, this is what 5e DMs tell me, the majority of players, if they make certain changes, won't join their game. They'll have as much trouble as people are trying to recruit for way less popular games. Right? Almost to the point those games are unpopular. But those people are competing with a 5e DM who comes in having a fixed game, or a game with one too many host rules, or they only use the core. So they're sitting on the side looking for players just like everyone else. And yeah, there's some truth to it. If you're just going to run 5e as it is, and you're willing to, accept a lot of the extended stuff that has come out, you can fill your table up in no time. But if you try something other than that, you have just as much trouble, in most cases, filling your game as any other game master of any other system. In person, I know well over 20 different DMs that run 5e, and they keep me informed on all this stuff all the time. And I know a ton of players in person that play 5e, and I actually talk to a lot of 5e players on the internet. It's not even me saying most of this. Like, most of the opinions that I'm sharing here about 5e players not being open-minded, it comes from 5e dungeon masters, both in person and online. This is what they tell me. And they're very open about this stuff. And if you go to 5e gamers, like players and that, they don't deny this. Actually, they're usually the ones bringing this up. There's a lot of people that simply won't go play an alternative version of 5e. And it doesn't take much for them to see it as an alternative version. Like, you don't offer Dragonborn, they're gone. That's it. You can't fill up your table in most cases. I have not met a 5e player that tells me they wouldn't play with someone from the old school. And I try to tell them a lot of the old school guys would game with you if you would let them make a change to the game. And they would come game with you. They just don't like certain elements of, the game, like a 5e. So they'd want to make changes. Well, these guys are completely open to playing with those older grognards. They're just not open to the changes. And so they understand that there is no meat in the middle. Most of the older guys don't like the game as it is, and most of the newer guys like the game as it is. That's a clash, right? And they don't like the new guys don't like just the core 5e. They like the whole package. They might not like every strip that's coming out, every piece that's coming out. They're not all political activists, and they're not all on the left or care about politics or anything like that, right? They don't like some of the stuff, but they do like the mechanics. They like all the different species, races, whatever the fuck you want to call it. They like all that stuff. And even if they don't take the options, and this is what weirds me out, a lot of them will play human characters. But if you don't offer Dragonborn, even though they're going to play the human character, they're out. Almost all of them are out. Wizards of the Coast have produced a mindset in the majority of their gamers, their players, their dungeon masters, that is outright poisonous to the hobby. It is destructive to the hobby. What it does is it allows them to maintain these people in their circle so they can keep getting money off of them, and it works. It destroys the hobby, but it lets them maintain a situation where they keep having money come in. Because if they don't have people hooked on their game in this way with the mindset of staying to their game and not going to other games, well, given all the bad news and press, they would cave in. Like, they would get destroyed. A lot of people would take their money and go elsewhere. But they have brainwashed a lot of their players by giving them what they want. You know, here's what you want. Even if it doesn't work, we're giving you what you want, so you keep coming back and giving us the money. And they have made this work for them perfectly. But that means it hurts us. And in my opinion, if you stay in their zone, like you try to fix their 5e, or you try to actually help that along, you're doing nothing good for the hobby. My suggestion would be to tell people to get the fuck away from WotC and all their games. I don't want to help 5e. I don't want to help the madness. I want the poison to go away. I want to get rid of the scam. But it's not going away. And most people are confused about what's really going on. They don't understand that, the 5e gimmick is no good. It's really no good. It's pushing politics. It's pushing an extreme political ideology. And on top of that, it is brainwashing, poisoning the minds of the people that play that game to the point they're not open to try other things. And this is not just regular normies being poisoned by this. I'm encountering other geeks that should be in the hobby, but they've been brainwashed by WotC, right? And they're not open-minded. And these are nerds. These are nerds that should be with us, right? That we should be talking to. And there's lots of them. So don't just think it's the normies who have been caught up. A lot of our people have been caught up in it, right? And I count them as our people. Fellow nerds that should be in the hobby. And en masse, they're coming in and they're getting stuck in 5e. And anytime you give you lean towards 5e or talk about it in a positive way or trying to fix it, you're doing no good. You're not helping them. You're making it worse. I don't want to fix 5e. I want everyone, right, who wants a good experience in this hobby to get the fuck away from that trash. It's not that it's a bad game overall, right? There are certain elements of it that if you tear away, you can make a good game. But you're being brainwashed. And you're having politics shoved down your throat through the game. Maybe not through the core books, but through the game, through WotC. And they're doing it and it's working. So we can't just sit back and pretend that this isn't happening. Now, I'm not expecting anyone who listens to this video to have to care about these things. Go game if you want, right? But if you do, well then here, I made this video because I do, right? And if we're on the same page, let's push back against this together. If you don't care, go play the game. And if you like 5e and you don't care for what I have to say, fair enough. I still have advice videos. Go check those out. They might help you. This might not be your, cup of tea, right? Anyway, for now, take care. You know what you can do? You can hit the like button. You can share the video. Oh, and there's another button you can press. That one that lets you subscribe to my channel for more content. Oh yeah, there's that bell thing. You can press that so you know when I've uploaded a new video right away.